We've got ourselves a best of 5. It's an elimination series, and both our players have qualified for Katowice Round of 24. So yeah, I totally want to see what both these guys are gonna bring. Ooh, but it looks like an ill omen, a portent of doom. Neeb has sent out a dirty hatch-blocking probe. I've learned that timing, and it is not cool. Our map is Pillars of Gold, but rather than harken back to a golden age of Starcraft, we shall return to a trend of 2020, the unnatural natural. Occasionally Protoss makes it a little bit interesting by being a little bit late. Nope, Solar doesn't have the minerals, and he's not even gonna try. He immediately heads right over to the third. The linear third, where he will place down the unnatural natural. But I'm feeling like we're missing a gateway here. Is this Neeb punishing himself for bad behavior? He's gonna delay his own gateway? No, it's a Nexus first for Protoss. This is a rare bird, almost a dodo bird. It's as rare as a lunar eclipse, though I personally prefer solar!
Current world rank 9.
Sure, I prefer it, but the truth is, you can't always get what you want. But if you try real hard, you just might find you get what you need.
Current world rank 22.
While I'm goofing the intros, Neeb is putting down a very serious proxy pylon. That is out of range of vision for a hatchery that is not yet complete. What is going to complete first is the forge. This, my dear Watson, is a cannon rush. Or at least a cannon to kill off the unnatural natural. Having gone Nexus first, we know that Neeb plans a transition. Transition of some kind anyway. There's the eggplant geyser. Solar sees it now. Neeb will add that second cannon. He's pulling 2 drones. No, he's not. He is going to ignore this. That is unbelievably chill. Sub-zero chill. He's going to sack his hatchery. He tried to fight it off with a single drone, but that drone is already low on hit points. First cannon finishes, so does the first 2 lings. They're gonna escape, and it looked... Oh, there's a first blood! But that is big. Solar was gonna try to rebuild a hatch at his real natural. That's just been delayed. Meanwhile, Solar's gonna get a queen out of that hatch before he loses it. It's interesting. Neeb had to spend more than 300 minerals to get rid of that 300 mineral hatchery. But by killing that drone, I think he made it worth it. Oh, Solar's gonna get his lings in. There's no door guard yet. The chrono boosted Zealot is just 2 seconds too late. Now there's lings in the main, and nobody wants that. More lings are gonna try, but the door guard is in place now. And we're gonna get an early horror pinata here. What a great way to start a series. The stuff that comes out is not candy, kids. Do not try this at home. Oh my god, he's not gonna bait out that Zealot, is he? No, Neeb's too wily for that. It is essential for Protoss that he does not get more lings in his base. 2, the probes can handle. So can the photon cannon, incidentally. And there's Neeb's transition, a Stargate. Solar will not get the scout on that, but he will get his natural up and running. Shortly, anyway. The economic disruption has been high. He's going to finish ling speed, and then he's going to try to make up for it by starting his third. Can't be the linear third, the cannons are still there, but he can take the triangular third. I'm starting to like this new geographic lingo. It was a little pretentious at first, but I'm starting to find it useful. What Solar really has done well here is he's kept up his droning throughout. That's going to give him a better chance to stabilize. But it's all going to depend on what Neeb's follow-up is. He's got 2 adepts now, and his Stargate is going to finish. Let's see what he makes out of it. Neeb has always been an Oracle guy historically, which of course is why he makes a Void Ray. It's pick on the caster day as usual. It looks like those adepts are just for defense. Neeb is going to take his third. A fast Nexus and an early third. Neeb sort of faked his offense with that cannon rush, but really he's going for an economic strategy. Solar doesn't really have too much scouting info, but he is going to find out about that Void Ray when it starts eating his overlords. That Void Ray should be popping out just about now, and he is going to make an Oracle as his second choice. The Overlord sees the timing on the third, and then it's going to get killed by that Void Ray. Not a bad scouting death. Neeb adding that shield battery. He knows he really doesn't have map control. Solar responds to the Void Ray sighting by putting down spores. He's correctly guessed that Neeb could easily follow this up with an Oracle. He's also going to respond with a Roach Warren. It's always nice to have a little den for your roaches to go after work. They can play billiards and knock back a few tall boys. Or at least they could before COVID. I'll tell you who does not socially distance. That Oracle. He is coming right over. Truth be told, I don't think he was invited. I guess it's kind of neat the Oracle can always kind of fall back to the cannons. That's a nice tag for vision, but it doesn't help him spot the Roach Warren. Yeah, he's missed it, but his tour is not over. He's going into the main. He is going to catch the lair tech starting up. The Queen is out of position, but there is a spore there. Neeb finds a spot where he can put down a stasis ward. It forces the drone pull, but a great response by Solar. Oh, the Oracle got zoned out. It did not see the cancellation of the lair tech. Oh, that was really cool. I think the lair was a fake right from the get-go. This is the Zerg equivalent of the fake cloak on the Banshee. All the money from the lair got dumped into making roaches. Neeb sees the Roach Warren, but not the roaches in production. Fortunately for Neeb, he's gone double Stargate, and he's making voids 2 at a time. They're pretty good against roaches. That whole not shooting up thing really makes a difference. Oh, but Solar is going for a queen walk. It's the ladies who like long walks on the beach. Remember, 1 queen beats 1 void ray, or so they tell me. It's definitely true if you hit your transfuses. There's no German taxi for these queens. They may be royalty, but they're walking like the rest of the peasants. Neeb's at 4 void rays. He's gonna go up to 6. Solar's got Ravagers. Neeb's trying to get up to 3 shield batteries. A photon overcharge could be the game changer here. Corrosive bile kills a battery. It's 4 queens versus 4 voids. A 5th void on the Ravagers. Neeb dodges the bile, and Solar hits his own lings instead, though he did fry some sentries. The Ravagers are getting focused down. Neeb has a photon cannon in front of his Nexus now. And it's GG! Neeb with a crafty upset to start the series. So much to like in this game. A Nexus first, a fake lair tech turned Roach Ravager rush with queens, but it was not enough to deal with that vexing double Stargate Void build. I think both of our players have just sent each other a very strong message that this series is on. So let us get to game 2. Adjutant, if you would please.
The game begins now.
I should mention, if I haven't already, that both these players have earned a spot in the round of 24 at Katowice. The big tournament you'll all probably be watching when I've released this video. That means they've both escaped the play-in round of 36, and they've earned a seat at the big boys' table. Though perhaps Neeb should have his seat taken away if he insists on being a dirty hatch blocker. There goes that probe again. Is Solar going to be all passive-aggressive and just go over to his 3rd like he did in game 1? Or is he going to put up a fight this time? Solar is definitely going to get there first. Is he going to have the minerals though? I like this. He's competing. It's going to be tight. I think Solar gets it down. Forget the rest of the game. I think they should just give the W to Solar because he got his hatch down. I should mention that Neeb is the sole American presence at Katowice this year. In terms of North America, Canada has Scarlet in the round of 36. She's got to play in. Mexico has Special for the round of 24. Solar is going to get down his Extractor, which will be followed by his Pool. After his hatch block effort failed, Neeb's been quite aggressive with his probe, though it's hard to know because he's always quite aggressive with that thing. But Atassa's gotta do what Atassa's gotta do, and that includes going Nexus before Core. And speaking of great Americans, screenwriter and director Josh Whedon, creator of Firefly, and the man behind the Marvel's Avenger movie, had this tip for aspiring screenwriters. Josh says, "Don't give the people what they want. Give them what they need." Obviously, Josh Whedon is a Starcraft fan. Here comes the eggplant geyser on that natural. Solar and I are both so glad to see it. And the watery explosion of the spawning pool. That's a key event for Solar. It lets him decide how to proceed. He goes with 2 queens and 4 lings. And that's followed by a key event for Protoss. The core completes. It'll be a chrono boosted adept. And warp gates. No, not warp gates. There's a tech stashing pylon. It's gonna get a Stargate. I'm sure warp gates will follow. This is just a thing we've been seeing lately. There it is. Did you know that the world's largest power plant is located in the Mojave Desert? It's 1,000 acres in size and it's all solar! I, for one, am happy that our Zerg player is a renewable resource. And I'm also happy to see he's got his 3rd down. Note that Neeb's adept stayed home. He's a door guard. A 2nd warp gate will complete the wall, and a stalker comes out. Looks like he's gonna try to deter a scouting overlord. Ling speed is halfway done and the Stargate completes. There's a short rally point. Let's see what's coming out. It's an Oracle. Oh, and the adept has left her post. She's hunting a Ling. She's gonna get it. That's a first blood. Solar shows no indication of retribution. He's working on a huge round of drones and an additional queen. Double door guards for Neeb. He definitely doesn't want anybody inside. He's acting like he's trying to hide something, but he's just done a basic Oracle. Maybe that's the mind game here. Create some suspicion and stress over nothing. Or the Oracle is a kind of fake. Neeb going for a double Stargate build. These days, that usually means Void Rays, but I guess it could mean Phoenix. Either way, putting out an Oracle is almost a way of calming the Zerg down. A harassing Oracle usually implies single Stargate. Solar's putting down safety spores. He probably has no idea how much he really needs these. Oh, there's a drone migrating to the 3rd. Neeb sees it and gets it. Nice pickup. The other migrating drone turns into a spore to save its life. Solar cancels a drone at his 3rd, recognizing there was a risk it could finish and become vulnerable. Pretty good damage for that Oracle, especially if it's just meant to be a fake out. Solar with a door challenge. No, he's going for a probe. That's a probe trying to build a 3rd. That's a good one to get. But Neeb saves it, and then his Oracles are going to make those Lings pay for the attempt. No real scouting information for Solar. He needs to know about this double Stargate so he can react appropriately. It is indeed Void Rays. First one's out and double Voids will follow. Solar's making a Roach Warren and Lair Tech. He's doing that blind. Neeb gets down his 3rd. His Oracle sneaks in on the Zerg 3rd. He's gonna try a Stasis Ward, but there's a Spore right there. He cancels that right before he throws away his Oracle. I was just about to say that was a multitasking error, and then Neeb pulls it out of the fire. Well done. There were no queens guarding that 3rd. Solar's got them congregating together. Void Rays 2 and 3 complete, number 4 in production, and a +1 air attack to go with it. This is very similar to what Neeb won game 1 with. He tried to hide it, but he's really going with what worked. There, Solar has the scout now. But is it too late to react? We've got ourselves a couple of depths, venturing on to creep. Solar almost daring that shade to complete. It doesn't. Neeb's just trying to get the scout here. Solar's starting up an Overseer. And Roach Speed, a fantastic upgrade, but not one synonymous with beating Void Rays. Lings pick up the shade. Oh, it actually finished. I did not see that coming. The Adepts did not get back-to-back. They don't have the surface area they wanted here. Great discipline by Solar following that shade. I thought it was a fake. It was not. Neeb's decided to fortify. He started 5 shield batteries. Because it's a queen walk! Solar is coming. His queens have not ordered an Uber. They're gonna walk it. This did not work out for him in game 1. He's gonna try again. And once again, he will be supporting it with Ravagers. Neeb's gonna ride out to meet him. No, he's gonna stay back in the shelter of his shield batteries. He was probably wondering if there were some German taxi overlords he needed to be killing. There isn't. The queens are marching on their own hexapodal limbs. It's not the March of Time, it's the March of Zerg. The batteries have completed. That is bad for Zerg. Hopefully they can get here before +1 air attack finishes. But it's gonna be 6 Void Rays versus 8 Queens. Solar's left 2 at home. You gotta like these numbers for the Zerg. Yeah, look at this. There's not a lot of stopping power for the Protoss. It's pretty much just Void Ray. If the Queens zone those Void Rays out, the Roach Ravager's gonna have free reign. There's only 2 Stalkers, and the Lings are on one of them. Oh, can Solar get the core before +1 air attack finishes? Just 10 seconds. No! It's a denied upgrade. That's big. Now there's not going to be any more Stalkers warped in to help out here. It's all up to the Void Rays and shield batteries now. Neeb is not turning on prismatic alignment. He wants it, but he needs the maneuverability more. Oh, this is sick. The Ravagers are just pushing the Void Rays away. Neeb figures out he can't dodge anymore. He goes at the Queen. Transfuses abound. Oh yeah, the corrosive vials are making it so hard they catch a Void Ray. Neeb's making more Void Rays because that's all he can make right now. His new core is only halfway done. Any zealots he makes are just going to get chewed up. And now Solar's finished a Hydra Den and is adding Hydras as a follow-up. This has gotten really bad for Neeb. It is so different than Game 1. Solar is outright making this double Stargate Void Ray strategy look like a bad decision. But this is a tried and true build. Neeb tries for the Queens again. He's kind of hoping the Ravagers are too busy annihilating his third, but they're not. Another corrosive vial kills off another Void. Neeb is getting Queens, but Solar's getting Voids. He's getting probes too. Neeb's trying to sneak another Nexus in the top left. Because even if he cleans this up, he's got so much rebuilding to do. He's not going to try. Solar takes a very convincing Game 2. Solar says to Neeb, you know what you did in Game 1? I took about 30 seconds to adapt to it. And just like that, the first 2 games cancel each other out, and our best of 5 is now a best of 3. Might as well call this next one a Game 1. So, can we just take a quick second to talk briefly about the early mass Void Ray strategy that we're seeing here? It was popularized by the Protoss player Zest, who I love, and there's a great article on his contribution to the Void Ray strategy on Team Liquid. Coincidentally, Zest debuted the strat in a series against Solar, who was actually its very first victim on the big stage, but it's an uber common strat now. The thing behind the strategy is, Zerg can survive it, but even if they do, it lets Protoss transition into late game Sky Toss, which is a scenario that Zerg is really struggling with right now. That's a topic for another video, but the point is, top Zergs like Solar are presently of the view that they can't just survive the 2-gate Void Ray, they have to end the game early as well, or it's a loss for them. Bunch of Void Rays equals lose. That's a lot of pressure. And that's why we've seen Zergs now develop variations of the Queen Walk. It's usually a Roach Ravager attack supported by an insane number of Queens that's often an all-in. I'm still adjusting to it personally. It doesn't look like it should work, but as you can see, it totally does. I feel like that many Voids backed by shield batteries should chop up the Zerg. But the Zerg capitalizes on the lack of ground forces because Protoss has all their money dumped into Void Rays. I haven't seen this tested out at a pro level, but my suggestion for Protoss is they should try deprioritizing the Queens and try to focus down the Ravagers with the Void Rays. Without the Ravagers, the rush ends, or so I claim. You can then warp in Zealots or Stalkers to deal with the Queens who don't have the DPS to do this on their own. Your Void Ray army's kind of obliterated, but you've survived it. Regardless, anyway, I have to say that right now at least, the Queen Walk is highly entertaining. Even cooler is when Overlords transport the Queens via the German taxi, or there's a Nidus delivery, but any way you slice it, it's cool. And by the way, does anybody give credit to Bly, who was doing this long before Protoss even started 2-gate Void Ray? Anyway, just had to get that off my chest. But let's get to Game 3. Adjutant, if you would please.
The game begins now.
So how does Neeb feel about Void Rays for Game 3? Does he give up on it and try something else entirely? Or does he say, maybe I just don't need to get cute and start off with an Oracle, just go straight into the Void Rays? Well, one thing's for sure though, he's gonna try that hatch block again. I don't want to get all crazy on the stats with you guys, But I can't help but notice that Neeb has a 100% win rate when he successfully hatch blocks. Clearly this is a pivotal moment. Maybe Solar's gonna regret getting that Overlord. He should just go straight into hatch for a true hatch first build. Oh, he's given up again immediately. He knows he doesn't have the minerals to compete. What's interesting is what he's gonna choose for his backup. He goes for the triangle position. That's what you see on Submarine. The linear third base location is rather unpopular. Usually, Zerg wants to expand away from their opponent, but on Submarine, it's not something that they typically need. Ninja stealth intro there. Extractor pool on the way for Zerg. Now, I know I joke about the hatch block all the time, but it's actually something that could be potentially significant here. It's going to be very difficult for Zerg to shuttle in between the two bases. Neeb so far repeating his build from Game 2. He's going to go Nexus then Core. The opposite build order, Core Nexus, is actually permitted as per the official Protoss handbook. Those black squares on the roof of my house aren't just a fashion statement. If you look closely, you'll see that those panels are actually solar! Mostly, though, it's for zombie preparedness, for when the grid goes down. Something else that's going down, or rather going up, is this hatchery. This is almost like opening bell for a Starcraft match. ZVP never truly starts until that pool pops. It's going to be 2 queens, 4 lings. Solar remains a very consistent player. ZVP is his statistically best matchup. And just to make things really interesting, ZVP is also Neeb's best matchup. Though I'm over-dramatizing that a bit, Neeb's pretty even in terms of his matchups. With his core complete, he's got a chrono-boosted adept, warp gate research, and now a Twilight Council. Definitely not a Void Ray Rush. With the vulnerable position of Zerg's third base, you gotta be wondering if Neeb's thinking about a glaive timing. I mean, there's other third bases that are more open, but it could be less open if you know what I mean. Solar takes his third at the natural, that's not unexpected. We'll want to keep an eye on whether Solar's making a crazy number of queens. You gotta think he's at least dedicated part of his brain to the possibility that he might need to do another queen walk. Oh, Ling's gonna try to get in for a scout. He sees the adept and pulls back. Smart call, his carcass would have been a first blood. And Solar's got an overlord at the perching point, so he's got vision of the natural. There's gate number 3, that is consistent with the glaive timing. But, you know what would be even more consistent? The actual glaive upgrade, which he has now started, resonating glaives. Solar has not seen it, but you gotta think every Zerg gives this some consideration. I've been hatch blocked against my will. That means there's a good percentage chance that a whole bunch of angry women are gonna suddenly come shading into my base. By now, virtually every pro Zerg player has a story that involves that. Neeb's first adept, though, was just trying to get the lay of the land and is now trying to get back home. The Lings might have something to say about that, though. Neeb kills 1 Ling, but there's 3 more. He's down to 85 hit points. He splats another Ling, 2 more arrive. Down to 40. Is that shade gonna get off in time? And it does. 14 health left. Neeb gives a sigh of relief. Meanwhile, Solar's gone ahead and started a Roach Warren. That's important. It's so much harder to fend off a glaive timing without one. Why is that, you ask? It's because you can pick up the Roach Warren by the big spiny handles on the top and beat your opponent over the head with it. It's a popular Zerg strategy at the pro level. Glaives are about to complete, and Neeb's adding a Robo, which may be for adding that Warp Prism in. But for now, it's a Pylon Warp in. Neeb shrewdly selects a location that's outside of the view of that Overlord. I like that. And it lets him get to his opponent's base even faster. That Ling is gonna see it. 5 roaches in production for Solar, but they are not yet here. Solar sees the threat. He makes 14 Zerglings to try to buy himself some time. 4 queens meet the 8 adepts, but they shade right by. They're going after the drones. Queen's caught out of position, but a roach does arrive. The adepts are shading away for their next attack opportunity. Solar's losing mining time, but he's really minimizing the drone losses. Oh, the Lings caught the shade here. That's big. The adepts are going to kill a lot of Lings, but this is really going to limit their punching power. Neeb loses 3 adepts. He's down to 5. He might have to call the whole thing off. Yes, he's going home. Neeb gets 3 drones and 18 lings for his 3 dead adepts. It's good, Protoss has the worker lead, but I actually think Solar is going to be quite okay with that. Neeb has made another round of adepts, but they are so far back. I think he really missed the effect that Warp Prism brings. Solar thought about countering, but he's pulling back now. He's working on his lair tech, possibly for roach speed. Neeb is actually working on Warp Prism speed, also with a disruptor. And then he takes his 3rd. Solar's gonna start converting some of his roaches into Ravagers. Ravagers are really quite terrific at dealing with adepts. And it's not like Protoss can claim victory. Haha, I forced out a whole bunch of Ravagers. Because odds are great, Zerg wanted those anyway. Neeb kills a couple of Zerglings and then his adepts shade over for another wave. This time though, Solar's defense is going to be much greater. The observer he made instead of that Warp Prism is going to let him get these creep tumors. Yeah, Solar's really got a lot of muscle right now. He's got the bigger army. Will Neeb go for that? No, he cancels. Good call. That one was tempting, but I think he would have thrown away too many adepts for it. And now Neeb's bringing up his soon-to-be speedy Warp Prism. It's loaded with double disruptors. You do not want to be an outmoded technology when the disruptor is around. These twin balls of internet devastation can turn your brick-and-mortar stores into obsoleteness. I don't know if that made any sense, but look at those shots! 6 roaches go up at once! Solar's superior defense just disintegrated. The adepts are now able to take on those queens by themselves. The queens are going to have to run, which means the drones are vulnerable. Neeb snipes 3 drones. Solar with the counter on the Protoss 3rd. Solar is remaking his roach count. He's got 13 on the way, and roach speed isn't too far off. But in the meantime, Neeb is making some hay. These lings are going to get cleaned up, but they are going to get some value. Neeb recalls his adepts. Solar has way more resources lost at this point. But the good news is not too much of it is drones. Neeb's got his first Colossi out. That's going to let him clean up those lings. And there's the heroes of this exchange. That Warp Prism with the double disruptor. And now he's flying over top of the Roach Ravager army just because he can. Talk about an attempt to intimidate. There are way too many roaches for those adepts to go toe-to-toe with. Neeb tries for another disruptor home run. He got one. I guess we could say he got to first base. But just like in Game 2, there is a lot of roach at his front door. Neeb does not yet have the shield batteries in place. Solar goes after the 3rd. Neeb pulls his probes, but they gotta go by the Zerg army. Neeb cancels his 2 shield batteries when he loses the pylon to support them. And now the Nexus is under attack. Solar splits his army, the Warp Prism swoops in. Half engages the Protoss army, half is going after the Nexus. He's trying to bait Neeb into a pincer. It's double disruptor shots. Oh! Solar's army disintegrated. Every unit gone. The disruptor shots were absolutely perfect. Solar's army supply went from the 50s to 16. Look at the cocky look on those Colossi. You'd think they shot the disruptor shots themselves. Not sure why Neeb's pulling back. He wants to be certain. He's adding 6 more gates. Instead, he's going to harass with his Warp Prism. Having killed all of Solar's army, now he goes after his economy. I think they just killed more drones than his 1,000 adepts did. I know the game's not over, but I think I know who gets the MVP trophy here. Well, maybe I don't, because it's really 3 units. 2 disruptors and a Warp Prism who are making this happen for Neeb. He's up 10 workers, he's outmining his opponent. He's about to get gate number 9 and take the lead on numeric upgrades. What does Solar have? He's got a surprise tech switch into Mutas coming. We've seen that turn games around before. Neeb, though, has put an army together and he's marching towards the Zerg gates. Solar's gonna get to hit first. That's gonna help. He's stacking up his Mutas. He's got a lot of them. It's a full dozen and that packs a punch. Watch him focus down that photon cannon. Neeb warps in 4 stalkers to defend, but I'm not sure that's enough. It isn't. He's got to retreat them or lose them. And he's doing both. The Lings come in. Last time they killed that Cybercore, they won the game. Might we have a little bit of a base race going on here? Simultaneous attacks might be more accurate because everybody is trying to defend. It's just that neither player is being particularly successful. Neeb does recall part of his army back home. It's 2 of his 3 Colossi. But I'm not sure the Mutas are going to care. That did not work. But Solar certainly doesn't have an answer at home either. Neeb has destroyed his unnatural natural and is moving into his main, simultaneously going after the third. Solar quietly finishes up his fourth base, hoping nobody will notice. Solar's gonna lose all his tech though, it's all been laid bare. Roach Warren falls. Neeb stopped making units, he's focused on multitasking. The mutas are getting it done. Neeb is going to lose his third. Even the drone's getting in on it. Talk about maximizing what you got. Oh, Neeb with the Guardian Shield, that is great. Or at least it was until Solar sniped the Sentry. But Neeb is thinning out that muta pack. Without it, Solar really doesn't have much else. Oh, he's gonna get another Colossi. Neeb's trying to rebuild his Cyber Core so he can get himself some Stalkers. He doesn't have a Stargate this game. He warps in a big round of Zealots to try to secure his natural. And when Solar sees it, he throws in the towel. Game 3 goes to Neeb. Solar was really making me believe for a little bit there. But let's get real for a second. You know, and I know that all I want to talk about is disruptor shots. And this opening one was pretty good. 1 double shot, 6 dead roaches. This next one's more like what we typically see. Lots of build-up, but with only 1 dead roach, not too much to get excited about. This double shot, though, this double shot was special. 12 kills, I kid you not. 24 supply lost in the span of a second. But it's more than just the numbers. Before the shot, Neeb's in a pretty bad spot. He's about to lose his Nexus. And his main army's about to get pinned. This was a full-on, turn the game on its head moment. This is true highlight reel comeback material. He's got to bring out the Warp Prism, he's got to do the drop, he's got to fire both shots, and then he's got to connect, and oh does Neeb connect. There's really no room for debate here. The judging panel is unanimous. This is a certified micro moment. And then, just for some icing on the cake, Neeb performs 1 more double disruptor shot, this time against some helpless drones. Do feel free to try this at home, kids, so you can get an inkling of how much practice is involved to pull something off like that. The end result of all this good kaboomy is that Solar is poised to be eliminated. Neeb is on his way to advance to the round of 8. Let's find out who's got what it takes. Adjutant, if you would please.
The game begins now.
3 short games so far, but it's been a pretty good series. Our Zerg player in the bottom right is the first Starcraft player to ever win a Premier Legacy of the Void tournament. He is Solar!
Current world rank 9.
Our American Protoss in the top right, the first non-Korean to ever win a Premier Starcraft 2 tournament held on Korean soil. He is Neeb!
Current world rank 22.
Sometimes we forget, Neeb was the man who made us realize it was actually possible. There's Neeb's gateway, no hatch block probe this time. I think I made the joke earlier that he has a perfect win rate when he does. Solar is going to enjoy putting his natural on his natural. A luxury he will get to enjoy on the map Romanticide. Oh, now we see what Neeb's up to. There's a Forge. Forge before core, this is not a standard gate and go probe. Neeb is looking to perform one of his cannon rushes. Neeb is a trickster, and as we've already seen, he has a pretty big bag of those tricks. The Overlord spots the probe, and it will turn around and try to track him. He'll be glad that he did, because it will get him vision of that pylon soon enough. Solar dispatches a drone. The Forge is right about to complete. Neeb blocks out the drone with a pylon, then he sets a second one. Solar has 2 drones working furiously to get inside. The original pylon completes. Neeb has the money to put down that cannon. That will be in range of that hatchery. The spawning pool is only halfway complete. Neeb with the double cancel, which lets him get the money to put down a gateway which locks in that cannon. Solar knows it. He's not getting in there now. It remains to be seen whether he'll go for the cancel or he'll try for a finish. While Solar mulls it over, Neeb's gonna get the scout. Oh, it's not a scout. It's a gas cap. That is significant here. Solar cancels. As soon as his gas is capped, Solar knows he's going to have difficulty going for Ravagers. Without Ravagers, he's not going to be able to beat those cannons. But the end result is that the Zerg second base is massively delayed. Neeb's core is going to complete. He walls himself in. Oh, look at the response from Solar. He's rebuilt his natural only on Neeb's side of the map. That's the mineral node with the rich gas geyser. Solar responds to Neeb's sneaky tactics with counter sneaky tactics. But Neeb's not done either. He's just started a robo. And he started it right at Solar's natural. And then to fortify his main, he's getting himself a cannon and a shield battery. Solar tries to slip out his first pair of lings. The cannon scrags one of them. That's actually a first blood. We have crazy action for Game 4 on Romanticide. What a fantastic opening. Solar is in a ton of trouble. Neeb's probe scouts the main. He sees a lair coming up. He's like, where's your roach, Warren? I know you got your gas back. Neeb starts himself an immortal. An immortal could carve up Solar's queen quite easily. But not if he supports it with a good supply of lings. Solar needs to find a way to buy time because his main is in serious peril. The immortal's going to have 2 shield batteries to retreat to. Solar sees the danger. He puts down a spine crawler. The immortal's going to finish first though. Solar's going to add a couple of speedlings to try to help buy him that time. The immortal is here. Neeb immediately follows it up with a warp prism. I am seriously concerned for Solar's main base. Sure, he's going to have lair tech, but what is he going to do with it? The immortal secures a high ground position and the probe gets a high ground pylon. Spine crawler completes. This is a tense little standoff. Neeb adds a 3rd shield battery. He's worried about being dislodged from the natural. But Solar has no intention. He just made a Nidus. I think he's going to try to evacuate his main. The lings get us around on the immortal. Killing the immortal will be so huge here. Oh, the warp prism saves it. It pops out of the robo just in time to save the day. And now it flies over and it's going to see the Nidus under construction. What an insane game. Yeah, Neeb saw the Nidus. And now he knows he needs to get aggressive with that immortal right now. He's going at that spine crawler. The lings charge and there's the warp prism pickup. Neeb is playing Beam Me Up Scotty here. The Nidus is about to complete. Queen is trying to finish off the immortal. That's not going to work. In fact, Neeb has an opportunity to kill that spine crawler. He gets it. And now the lings are going to try to pounce. The Nidus is done. Solar has a worm being constructed in the secret base. And also a Hydra den. He's skipping the Roach Warren and Baneling nest entirely. Oh, the lings are on that immortal. But there are 2 now. Solar has 2 queens now. This remains so close. Solar is hanging on by a thread, but he is hanging on. And now he's going inside the Nidus. This is the evacuation at Dunkirk. Neeb rushes in, but he finds the main empty except for a couple of drones. Fine, says Neeb, I'll just kill your spawning pool. What he doesn't know is that Solar has his Hydra den. And now a rich gas geyser fully maxed out. Solar's researching groove spines for +1 Hydra range. Neeb's gonna kill the Nidus, but Solar doesn't so much need it anymore. Solar started Hydra production. Neeb's continuing to make immortals and adding warp gates. Hardened Shield's gonna protect the immortals from those broodlings. The lair is his next target. Neeb knows he's gotta get an army together, but the reality is he's been one-basing through all of this. He's been having a ton of success, but he's spent a ton to do it. And now he's actually behind on workers. He's either got to get an expansion or he's got to get over to Solar right now and crush him. Because Solar is suddenly starting to look pretty good here. If I'm not mistaken, Zerg's actually looking at taking an expansion himself. He is top right-hand corner. And with the constant Hydras hatching, Solar's now got the bigger army. Well, that just went out of date. Big warp in by Neeb, 4 stalkers. Yeah, Neeb's not going for the expansion option. He's going for the crush option. Here's Solar not letting any larva go to waste. I love that Solar's actually got himself a high ground position. Okay, so Neeb has only just now figured out where Solar is. And his heart's got to sink a little bit. Not only does his opponent have a fresh mineral bed, he's got rich gas. But now he's got somewhere to focus his army. He's warping in. Does Neeb have enough, or can the Hydras hold the ramp? Solar's working on Hydra speed. Oh, he's gonna get up the ramp. Neeb gets a toehold. He gets vision. Solar brings everything. He's even bringing the drones. It's a really good concave for the Zerg. Every one of those Hydras and Queens are firing. Transfuse is going down on the Queens. Neeb's been backed into a choke. Oh, this is worse than concave versus convex. It's concave versus block. Neeb realizes it. He pulls out. But I don't think Solar wants to meet him on open field. Neeb's still got a pretty good army there. That did not go well for Neeb. He was hoping to close out the game, close out the series. But Solar defended, and now Protoss is in a tough spot. He's got 2 Immortals in that Warp Prism. He's going to investigate if he can attack from different angles. But this too is a lot trickier now. Every one of Solar's units can shoot up. This is not a safe place for a Warp Prism. Yeah, Neeb's getting out of there while the getting's good. He's like, I'm going to need a Plan C. Plan C, it appears, is going to involve a robotic support bay. It is hard to deal with Hydras without Splash. It is amazing how quickly the dynamic of this game changes. A minute ago, I would have said Neeb has 2 bases on either side of Solar. But now I would describe it as Neeb's 2 bases are kind of cut off. It's all in the eye of the beholder, and Neeb's eye does not like drones. He kills all of those. Even with all the droning Solar's been doing, Neeb still has the worker lead. I really think the problem is that Neeb's potentially going to mine out. He doesn't seem to want to expand, and I think he knows that means he's on the clock. Oh, Neeb thought about a disruptor for a split second, but then he decides to go Colossus. That could be bad news for Solar. Solar has no tech other than Hydra. He's actually only just started his spawning pool now. So we know that Neeb has to attack again. The question for Neeb is, when does he go? Well, I suppose right now his army's trapped inside his base. He recalled it inside. I always loved, for all its technological wonders, that Protoss never invented the door. Neeb makes one the violent way and gets his army outside, or rather he tries. He's adding Adepts, not a bad choice against Hydras. They do bonus damage against light, and Hydras are light, but they are outranged by the Hydras, and that can be a big problem. Neeb has stopped making units. Solar is continually adding Hydras. Oh, there we go. Neeb's adding an Observer. I guess he wants to pare back the creep. It's not like there's that much of it. Solar finishes his replacement spawning pool. I feel like Neeb's got 1, possibly 2 more big attacks in him. If he doesn't do damage, I think Solar wins just by surviving. He's gonna try to bust up the ramp again. It was a disaster last time, and there's even more Hydras. Can the Colossus be a difference maker? So much firepower with the Immortals, but the ones in the back are not firing. But every Hydra is committed to the war effort. The Colossus has lost its shields. Neeb tries to micro with the Warp Prism, but is within a hair's breadth of getting destroyed. Solar's getting low on units. This is gonna be close. Every health bar's in the red for everybody. Nobody blinks and pulls back. Everybody's dead. Solar has nothing left, but he's making 5 more Hydras. Their army supplies are fractions. It's 1 queen. It's 0 queens. But the Colossi is lost. A couple of Lings are taking down the Immortals. Solar wins. Neeb GG's. Solar was down to a 17 army supply, and still he wins the game. And it was a fun game. I know that's not the first game to ever have an evacuation scenario. It happens, but they are rare. And it's so much fun to watch the players trying to grapple with them when they do. I really do think Neeb got done in by the law of surface area there. But he was mining out and felt he had no choice but to try to power it. What a terrible feeling to be that close to victory and have it slip through your fingertips. Our best of 5 is now a best of 1. The winner of the next game gets to go to the quarterfinals. The loser's going home. Though, since they're already playing from home, I suppose the loser just turns off his Starcraft and watches Netflix instead. Anyway, as much as I want to talk about the zaniness that was Game 4, I want to get to Game 5 even more. Adjutant, if you would, please.
The game begins now.
With Game 4 as cool as it was, I'm going to be sad to see this series end. Let's do those intros. It can happen only 5 times a year, and it takes the sun, moon, and earth to align. It's an eclipse that is solar! I was so impressed with his comeback last game. And you were impressed too, it's okay to admit it. I also have to admit I've been recently impressed by the Beatles. Especially that song where they tell us, love is all you need. Love is all you need. I'm telling you, if you listen to that song carefully, the Beatles are definitely saying Neeb. And speaking of Neeb, guess who decided to hatch block? That's one way to show your love. It's a bit of a spoiler though, isn't it? Doesn't Neeb have a 100% win rate when he hatch blocks? Do we really need to play this game out? Maybe we do, because there's no gateway for Neeb. I think we're hearkening back to game 1 where Neeb went Nexus first. Solar's gonna take the lateral third. This strategy worked out for Neeb in game 1. It was Void Ray play where he defended the Queen Walk. His variation on it in game 2 didn't work out for him though. The silver-black sphere is a thing of beauty. I wonder if Protoss fiancés get warp rings. That would actually be really cool. So Neeb's probe is gonna confirm the extractor pool timing. And also like game 1, Neeb is going Forge before Gateway. The tournament is Cheeseadelphia, so we shouldn't be too surprised to find another cannon rush on the way. And as long as we're orienting ourselves, I should mention the map is Oxide. The feature of this map that's really come to light is that there's only 12 mineral nodes on the entire map. Assuming your opponent takes half, that only leaves you with 6. It really comes into play for the late game. But we've got early game action. Solar has left an Overlord to spot the cannon rush. He's dispatched 2 drones to deal with it. Is that enough? The Forge is done. Neeb just needs his 150. Plus whatever he needs to block out the cannon. 2 more drones arrive. Hatch completes. This is going to be a tricky scenario for Neeb now. His pylon's finished, so Solar knows it's real. Neeb's going to dart in and plant the cannon. Oh, he tried to get a gateway for the block. But Solar blocked him, and he is going to force the cancel on the pylon. Solar has saved his Nexus. That did not happen in game 1, and it bodes poorly for Neeb. His tech is delayed, and later on he's going to be out of pylon. The thing is, a Forge isn't exactly a terrible thing to have. I know it's crazy, but I've heard that some players even use it to upgrade. Neeb is ordering a Zealot, but it's not going to be here in time before those 2 Lings slip in. We've seen it before. 2 Lings you can kind of handle in your base. Neeb is not going to get supply block because he's got that early Nexus. Anywho, 2 Lings are doable, but Solar does have 4 more on the way here. That Zealot really needs to block the door right now. Oh no, he's going hunting for the 2 Lings. I don't think he knows there's more Lings out there. Solar is going to get him inside. It's slow Zealots versus slow Lings. Slow Zealot with a speed of 3.15. Zergling with 4.13. The extra Lings are inside and they forced the probe pole off of the natural. This just got a little bit ugly. Okay, Neeb's got an Adept on the way to help the cleanup. Oh, he's gonna lose his Zealot. That's not a trade he wants. Also, Solar gets the early scout on the Stargate. Nothing Neeb can do really. I don't think he can afford to delay his tech choice. The good news here is Neeb's not losing probes. But there's been some significant attention damage here. The distraction value is high, and I can tell you he did not want this in Game 5. Solar gets the scout that the Stargate is building an Oracle. A second Adept is out, that's going to help the cleanup. But meanwhile, Solar finishes up his 3rd, or he's about to. With triple larva, his economy's about to start humming. He's also going to make a pair of spores and be able to time them perfectly for the Oracle's arrival. This game's nowhere close to over, but Solar has to be happy with his opening. The Oracle materializes, while Solar is droning up like a madman. He can afford to lose a few here. Neeb's got to destroy that pylon he was using as a door. I think it'd be a really cool RTS feature if Protoss buildings could have like a phase mode, so that Protoss could walk through them. It could also be a cool defensive ability that you could bust out when Zerglings are chewing on your buildings. Obviously, it can only last a few seconds. One of these days I'll have to make a video on all the wacky ideas I've had for upgrades for Starcraft. I'm sure we've all got our wish list. Just like Neeb wishes there weren't quite so many queens here. Oh, but that doesn't stop him from snagging a drone in transition. He'll take that, though the reality is Solar's up to 65 drones now, and that is not good. Solar starts up a lair and a roach warren. Thanks to the work of his Zerglings, he was able to delay both of those. And now his Zerglings are going to do him another favor. They're going to force a cancel on this Nexus. The Void Ray is not going to be able to stop that in time. Everything is going Solar's way in this game so far. I'm being a bit of a drama llama here because the resources lost really isn't that bad. Oh, Neeb got off a stasis ward while his Nexus was being destroyed. But it really does feel like Solar has the momentum right now. Which of course is impossible because Neeb hatch blocked. Somebody forgot to explain to Solar how this game's supposed to work. Gateway explosion for Neeb, he's going up to 6. Solar's roach warren is gonna finish. Neeb's gonna start +1 attack, seeing as how he has that forge lying around. And he's going to begrudgingly remake his third. Solar starts an Evo chamber. His layer's going to finish. And he's adding 2 more gases at his natural to really get that economy humming. What he's not doing is making roaches. He's still droning away like crazy. If Solar is going roach, Neeb should be in a good situation. He is making immortals out of his robo. But Solar's economy, man, it's going to be impressive. He hasn't even taken a 4th yet. But he has saturated so quickly. Oh, a Hydra den for Solar. He might skip roaches entirely here. Hydras were definitely his friend in Game 4. Oh, look at that. Zerglings with psionic triangles on their head. That's right. You've been oracled. Oh, it wears off just as Solar takes his 4th, so Neeb will not get sight of that. Solar's also getting +1 attack and a Baneling nest. Nobody's attacking right now. Solar's just macroing like a madman and Neeb's trying to play catch-up. He is, though, getting a warp prism. That could signal an intention by Protoss to push out. He'd love to find a way to do some damage. If nothing else, he should at least pare back the creep. Oh, Solar reminds him, as soon as you leave your base, your 3rd belongs to me. Neeb adds a shield battery in protest, but I'm not sure that's enough. Neeb kind of appreciates he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't, so he is moving out. And as promised, Solar moves in to snack on that vulnerable 3rd. The defense comes in the form of an oracle. But is it enough, or are these stalkers going to pay the price? Meanwhile, Neeb pressures the unnatural natural. The warp prism helps him add to his forces while he uses the force fields to try to cut the Zerg in half. He is capturing queens, but he's got to be unhappy to see Hydras. He does not have any splash ready. Solar has been caught with a smaller army than he would like. He pulls his drones to screen. He had a 16-worker lead coming into this fight. But Neeb is making some headway towards evening things up. But Solar has added huge rounds of roaches. Neeb had the army lead when he came into this fight. The stalkers he's warping in are good against the roaches. But Solar's making 2 or 3 for every stalker. And half of them he's turning into Ravagers. Solar's macro is just so on point. I'm not sure his mineral count has ever climbed much beyond 200. Neeb enlists an observer to kill a few creep tumors and says, "Aha! Gotcha!" But what I think Neeb really has to be worried about now is he's forced all these attacking units out of Solar. Solar might just go and use them. He's already got roach speed. He's adding Hydra speed. He's already bagged the Hydra range. Neeb's adding a Twilight Council. I think he knows he needs a battle duck. Archons definitely, and hopefully Storm. Oh, a couple Lings have just slipped in. Who was in charge of that door? Seriously, somebody's job is on the line here. Okay, Solar's got a significantly bigger army now. I know some of that is inflated because it's roaches, but even still. Okay, so I'm wrong. Neeb is not making a Templar Archive. He's going for Blink. Dear Oracle, this is Protoss High Command. Would you please stop casting revelations on the Zerg army? We don't like what we see. What he does see tells Neeb that he needs photon cannons to guard his 3rd and additional gates to act as a wall. Neeb always has stellar Sim City. Oh my god, the Zerg horde is coming. Neeb's got a high immortal count, but that's kind of all he's got. Neeb has cancelled Blink. He's going for Zealot legs instead. Neeb's death ball has some death in it, but I don't know if it's enough of a ball, if you know what I mean. It's not going to be able to tank very well. Oh, the force fields are going to help, and he's not letting Solar get one of his super concaves. But man, that is a big Zerg army, and it's going right for his front door. Oh, big time force fields. Solar kind of shrugs and reminds us that's what caustic biles are for. Neeb launches one of his trademark Zealot run-bys, aka Neeblots. But they're still in slow mode. Oh, Solar's got one of his concaves. He is so good at that. Neeb's Oracle's actually making a stasis ward in the middle of the battle, and it hits big time. Oh, could that bail him out if he can finish off the rest of the Zerg army? I don't know, even with half his army, Solar's looking pretty formidable. Can Neeb do this? The Immortals are going to work on the roaches. But that stasis ward is going to wear off soon. Neeb warping in Zealots right in the face of those Ravagers. But they are free. Solar is just rallying units straight across the map now. He's looking to win this right here. Neeb's down to his last 2 Immortals. They've got to hold. The Warp Prism's trying to juggle them. Solar's got a creep highway right to that 3rd base. He kills one of the immortals and Neeb taps out. The first really decisive game of the series came in Game 5. Solar wins that series. He is our victor, which means we get to play one of these. Not a bad series, particularly Game 4 was pretty wild. And I'll tell you why I'm glad to have a good one. This best of 5 marks a big time milestone for this channel. This is Game 100. Never thought we'd make it that far. But thanks to your support and subscriptions, we're still plugging along. I know you're all going to be off enjoying Katowice, but maybe once you're done, maybe come check back here and see what's going on at Zugzwang Starcraft. We always scour the interwebs for the coolest games, so you don't have to. It's a burden, but I love it. So while I head off to go celebrate Game 100, just let me say, from my base to yours, Zugzwang out. To continue your StarCraft journey, Nova advises you to click the video in the upper rectangle. But Kerrigan warns you to watch your 6 and click the video in the bottom rectangle. Or you can stimpack your StarCraft experience. Subscribe to Zugzwang Starcraft. Just hit the circle. From my base to yours, Zugzwang out.